Hey guys, welcome back to Something Like Therapy. Today, me and Jess are going to continue our conversation on sobriety. We're going to go over some of the changes and benefits we've seen over these last 8-9 months that we've been on our journey. So come along, listen in, and hopefully you guys take away some beneficial things. Hey guys, welcome in, welcome back. What's going on?
Welcome.
Welcome. We are continuing on with our sobriety episode. This is part 2. It wasn't intended to be a 2-parter, but it's just a big topic, and we didn't want to rush probably the most important part of it, which is what today's episode is going to include, which we kind of feel are our top 10-ish, I think. Just the most beneficial things that have come from this sobriety journey that we've been on, at least so far. It's been 8-9 months now. So these are just some of the things that we have already begun to notice in our lives, which we feel we wanted to share with you guys just because they've been a very beneficial impact and on our day-to-day. And it's just been cool to see. So that's what we wanted to dedicate this episode towards.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons why I really wanted to share this part is because the beginning of this journey was difficult to see beyond the things that we were missing and the things that we felt like we were giving up. And it just felt like it was just going to be such a boring and lonely road ahead of us.
Boring for sure. I remember I was like, I don't know why I was so scared of just I'm gonna be so bored. I need alcohol. Yeah. That's sad. It sucks.
Because and here's the thing, that part of the process is, I guess you can say, boring, because I think your mind is kind of beginning to adjust to a new norm, and it seems boring. Boring.
Well, anything that you have to do, just think about being on a diet. That's boring.
Yeah.
You don't get to eat good food. Working out, going to the gym every day. That seems pretty boring. I have to do that every day and do the same workouts, and it's just so anything. It kind of anything that's good for you, which is why so many people suffer from being lazy and being unhealthy and just not being productive in life, is because it takes work and it takes discipline and it takes consistency. And those are 3 things that unfortunately we just lack in our daily life because we kind of want the comfort. We just want to feel comfortable. We want to feel chill. I don't want to have to push too hard. And it's just very obvious. The people that are successful and the people that are not, it's what is the difference between those? And it's those 3 things: a work ethic, consistency, and discipline. So yeah, it is what it is. But
and sacrifice also, because you understand that you're giving up a lot of things that you used to have fun, that you used, to enhance the experience, and to remove that and basically be left with just yourself and reality. It gets a little scary, and you feel like, oh, is this really going to be worth it? And we're here to share the positive side of making this sacrifice, the payoff of it, I guess you can say, because there is a lot of great benefits that come from choosing a life of sobriety. Even if you're just doing this again for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long you're choosing this, I think the benefits just keep growing and the payoff gets greater and greater. So
yeah,
we're here to share our 9-month point of view. June 1st is going to be 9 months. So
that's crazy.
Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow.
Yeah. So
crazy.
9 months is cool. I think it's a perfect time to do this because it's been a rough one, but I think so far it's been worth it.
it's 9 months to make a child and 9 months to make a sober person, I guess.
Yeah, I can officially say this has been the longest I've gone without drinking.
And side note, we have kids.
We have
so
kids.
That's a scary statement.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, look, it's sad to say, but you're not the first nor last that either intentionally or unintentionally had a drink while being pregnant, right. So it's not like we were out, doing keg stands while you were pregnant or anything. Exactly. It's nothing like that.
Exactly. I mean, I definitely was, very much aware that drinking is dangerous while you were pregnant.
Or dangerous now in general.
In general. But back then, that's, I was like, well, I'm pregnant. I can't drink, Yeah. But I did occasionally enjoy a glass of wine here and there, per doctor's orders. Like, it's fine.
I like how that's per doctor's
orders. No, it wasn't. Oh, I did ask, though.
Well, you saying that out loud really makes me think, because it's like, why don't we make that fucking connection in that where it's like, okay, pregnant women don't drink because alcohol is bad for the baby's growing brain and like growing body and its development. It's poison and it's not good for a baby. A baby is a human.
Right.
We understand. So why isn't it like, don't drink at all because it's bad for your brain. It's bad for development. It's bad for your body. Like it's the same freaking thing,
It's the same thing. It's no different.
We just look at it differently. Like, oh, we're an adult,
poison.
Though. Yeah.
Poison's poison.
But I'm an adult. I can take the poison.
Right.
It's fine.
Right. I guess because you're supposed to do it responsibly.
Oh, yeah. Well, they do that. No wonder they say that on the commercials. Yeah. Drink responsibly. Okay.
You're supposed to do it responsibly.
Drink your poison responsibly.
Yeah. But anyhow, we digress.
Yeah, right. Trust me, we're not like, we're starting to sound like these like anti anyone who drinks and you're the devil. Like, no. Trust me, we're not that in any way. We just, I don't know. We've gone down a rabbit hole of listening to like sobriety stories and sobriety journeys and just like doing research on alcohol and what it does. And it's like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I can't go back to just like, well, it's fine. It's like, now I really look at it like, dude, a poison is a poison is a poison. There's not like, well, this is poison, but it's like, it's all right poison. Like, it's still not good.
The way I see it is like, what's that old saying? Like, the proof is in the pudding. Like,
yeah.
I know what my life looked like.
Yeah.
Before choosing sobriety, and I know I can see what my life is, starting to look like or develop into now being 9 months sober. So
it's just, and we will go over those differences and why we, are continuing to stay on this path. So, but segue into that. I think the first one we wanted to talk about, where it's kind of like a dual thing. We were literally just talking about that right before we started recording, how it kind of goes together. The first two, we have improved mental health and getting to know yourself. I wanted to move the getting to know yourself one up with this one just because I feel that's kind of been the biggest thing, at least for myself. We talked about that where when we stopped drinking, it was, we wanted to do like a year challenge. And we talked about, like as we've been getting closer to that year mark, like, do we want to stop? Like that year's coming up. Like, what are we going to do? And I was telling Jess how I really just think like, well, I've come this far. Like, okay, when I hit 1 month, I was like, cool. I gave myself 1 month and like to see, okay, how am I going to react after 1 month? And then 3 months, like, how am I going to react after 3 months? How am I going to feel? How am I going to think? What kind of perspective am I going to have? Then 6 and now 9. So I know when I hit the year, the way I'm really looking at it is that I've never given myself, because I've been drinking since 14, 15 years old. Since then, so at 20 plus years, I've had alcohol in my system. And, a little at a time, a lot at a time, but like it's always been there. And I've never really given myself the chance to see who am I? Like, who am I without it? Who am I not under the influence of alcohol? So like that's kind of my driving point. I mean, my driving, motivation has been everything, the things we're going to go over and how I just feel. but like really curious to see like how my life will change, like what kind of perspective will I have on everything, like my relationships, the world, myself, without alcohol. And I think that curiosity has kind of been pushing me, and that's why I kind of want to push it more and more. And it's like, if it ends up being like, okay, now I've hit 4 years, let's see what 5 years looks like. And if it ends up being like, now I've hit 20 years, like, well, then I'm just gonna die not having drank. So that's good. But yeah, I think that's kind of been the number one thing for me. It's like the curiosity to see like, okay, if it feels this good now, like how much better is this going to get?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I feel that one of the first things that I noticed was the improvement of my mental health and getting to know myself as well. Because when you remove alcohol, you begin to realize what a huge distraction it is to, even if you're not a daily drinker, but let's say you are, your casual, occasional drinker, meaning you drink on the weekends, you don't realize but how much space that takes up in your head, because all you're thinking about is like, this weekend I'm going to have a drink. And, whether you're working or you're with kids, like whatever it is that you do on your daily basis that keeps you busy, you're just like, well, I just got to hang on a little longer because I'm, my reward is that I get to have a drink at the end of the week.
Yeah.
When you remove that, you realize that you were kind of numbing or shutting down all the things that were like causing you stress or causing you anxiety. You have no other choice but to start to, what's the word? Acknowledge what you're feeling. And you begin to understand what stresses you, what worries you, what makes you feel sad, what actually makes you feel happy. You start to know what feelings and emotions really are, because you're no longer not only numbing them at the end of the week, but you're not distracting yourself with like, I can't wait to have a drink. Like, oh, I'm so stressed out. I got to hang on and just, this weekend I get to have whatever, a couple White Claws. Like,
and you see, like, cause we had talked about that, like how much alcohol, like you don't really think about how much time alcohol takes from you and how much it consumes, because like you said, alcohol is, we're either thinking about when we're gonna drink, like, okay, it's Monday, I know we're gonna go, it's freaking Taco Tuesday, so I'm gonna have some beers, and then it's Thirsty Thursday, and then it's whatever, then it's Friday and it's the weekend. Or even let's say you are every weekend a weekend drinker, you're like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday waiting for Friday to come so I can drink and let loose and have fun. So you're either thinking about drinking alcohol, then it's the time that you are drinking alcohol, of where are we going to go, how much alcohol am I going to drink, where can I get the cheaper drinks, blah, 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 blah. The whole spiel of like weekend drinking. And then it's the time after, when you feel like shit and you're hungover for 1 or 2 days. Then it's that time. And then that time leads right back into, when am I drinking again? So if you really think about it, it's a never ending cycle of just consuming your time, consuming your thoughts. And like what you're saying is, by removing all of that, it gives you a chance to think about you and how are you feeling and what has been stressing you and how can you address that and what's going on in my relationships. It allows you to hear your voice, and you're not, it's like almost like your voice is trying to talk to you and someone's just there fucking pouring whiskey on it, like, shut up, you can't talk, I don't want, don't talk to her or don't talk to him. You might, give them some truth.
In the sober community, they talk a lot about bandwidth, like the amount of bandwidth that you have.
Of course.
And you don't realize that when you are someone that is, even if you're an occasional drinker, which when you hear that word, occasional drinker, okay, what does that really mean? Because we used to define ourselves as like casual, occasional drinkers, right?
Social drinkers. Social is another drinkers. Good term that we threw around.
You really think about it. Okay, someone that doesn't really struggle with drinking, and they say, I'm an occasional drinker, they could possibly mean like they drink once or twice a year. Versus us, we identified as occasional casual social drinkers. We drank every other weekend. How does that place us in the same category?
Yeah.
I don't think so, right? So, all right. I only say that because when you hear that, when you hear people use that loosely in that way, it can be very confusing because for us, we considered ourselves an occasional drinker. But I think this is the way that you can possibly identify if you might have a little bit of a problem with drinking, is thinking about how much bandwidth alcohol is taking up in your life, right? How much space is taking. And they say that a way to identify is if you are someone that struggles with drinking, you are either thinking about drinking, not drinking, or when can you drink again? Like, how long do you have to wait to drink again?
Yeah.
And when you realize it takes so much energy to think about not drinking, you realize how much energy you're exerting, how much bandwidth is taking up in your mind. And how do you have time to think about anything else? How do you have time to think about what are you really feeling? What, that one emotion that you're trying to numb down, what is it really trying to tell you? Because by the time that maybe you do want to pay attention, you already are at Thursday or Friday night, and now you're like, forget it.
Yeah.
This is my weekend, and you could be taking that time to process what you were feeling during the week, but instead of doing that, now you're drinking.
Yeah, and people, with the reasoning behind it, like, well, I drink because it makes things more fun. I'm more relaxed, I'm more loose. Like, if I'm going to go out, it'll make the night more fun, and I'll do more things, and I'll talk to more people, and it's like, and I have a perfect example how that shit usually backfires, because again, you're spending so much energy about drinking, where I know for myself, when we were going to go out, even if it was just to go out to whatever, karaoke time, or go out to a bar or whatever, or if we're going out to go have dinner, well, what's their drink menu there like, or like, they have better drinks at this restaurant. I don't really like the food there as much, but better drink options, so let's go there.
They pour heavy.
They pour heavy there or whatever. It was constantly like, my whole night was surrounded by how am I going to drink, and where can I drink, and why am I not drinking right now, So it like literally takes away from the experience. And like I said, the perfect example is when we went with some friends and a cousin of mine, and we went to a concert, and we ended up missing the fucking concert because all we cared about was going somewhere before the concert and having some drinks, and then drinking before the concert, so that we can have a nice healthy buzz going in there. And we ended up taking way too long drinking at the restaurant. We ended up taking way too long drinking on the way over there and all of that. So by the time we got there, we're sloshed. It's already late. It's too crowded. We had to wait in line. We pretty much missed the concert. So It's like, us thinking like, oh, it's going to make the time so much better to drink and be drunk. It literally took the experience away. Right. So it's like, and that's most of the time, because there's just so many times now that we look back and it's like, damn, that night would have been a lot cooler if I wasn't shit-faced drunk, Like, I don't know why we think that, like, the more drunk we get, the better the night's going to get, and it's never the case. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that goes really well into the next one, where we learn to, experiences will open up and new ways to have fun.
Yeah.
That is something that you and I, if you would have asked us this 2-3 years ago, that you can go out and have fun without drinking, we just
wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I'd be like, nah, I'd rather just not do it at all.
I think two things that happen when you decide to remove alcohol from your life. I think, one, you understand that sobriety gives you a much more clear way of seeing things. And let's say we go to that concert now and we're sober, right? That concert we missed, like, we wouldn't have wasted so much time trying to find, a restaurant that serves better drinks before, like, what is it?
Pre-game.
Pre-game. All these things, right? So we would have saved money, we would have saved time, and we would have been there in more than enough time to see the concert and possibly have pretty good view of the entire concert, right? So we definitely we wouldn't have been robbed of the experience. But then also there's another thing that happens is that the type of experiences you want to have change. So would we have even gone to that concert? Because if you really think about it, it's not like it was an artist that we really were like, oh, we want to see him. Like, it was one of those, like...
It's a reason to drink.
It's just a reason to drink.
Yeah. Like, most of the times we went out, it was like, oh, it's another reason to drink anyways.
Exactly. So your experiences begin to change. You begin to choose different experiences. So I think a lot of times people get so caught up like, well, I can't do the things that I used to do drunk. Well, what if you don't want to do those things anymore? So now your world opens up to a completely different reality, completely different experiences where, what's funny, like you and I, one of the first date nights that we had since we stopped drinking, we went to, what are those called? Those obstacle rooms, what are they called?
Oh, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. Oh my God, why can't I think of what those things are called? Well, it was one of those, like, whatever. Oh, escape rooms.
Escape room. I was like, game room? That doesn't sound right.
And we've never done that. Like, we didn't do that.
Well, we did before, but drinking.
We did. Yeah, we did drink, but we went with, like, other couples. But I'm saying you and I.
Oh, just to go do it.
Just to go. And, like, we had fun. We were sober. And, like, before... The minute we got an opportunity to go and have a night out, just us.
It was always just either dinner and drinking or just straight to drinking.
Or just straight drinking. Yeah, exactly. Like
so it's never an activity.
Your world does begin to open up a little bit more. And I think that's what it is that, and we were guilty of it, that you want to do all the things that you used to do when you used to drink. And I think that is because it's scary and because, like, you feel like, well, what do I have to sacrifice? It's not so much that you have to sacrifice this. I think it's just that you begin to desire new things, new ways of having fun.
Yeah.
And I will say that you and I are still, I think we're still like discovering that and like learning new ways to have fun, because we've tried to do what we used to do, like go sit at a bar, and it wasn't very... Not that like, I mean, I always like going out and doing things with you, but it was just not the same because we weren't drunk. So it was just kind of like, what are we doing? Like, we're not going to be able to do what we used to do because we're not drunk. And it's not that it's wrong or bad or something is wrong with our relationship. I think it's just that we were evolving and our relationship was evolving because we were both doing something new that we've never done before. So we're still kind of in the discovery part of that, but I do feel that your world does open up in new ways because you begin to want to experience more and see things through different eyes. I mean, one last thing I'll say is, when we would go on vacation, we went to Cancun and I remember like I have family that lives out there and they wanted to do some things that were, didn't really involve drinking. And we were just like, well, we had plans to just sit at the pool and just get shit-faced.
It's going to waste a day of drinking, bro. Yeah, I don't want to go do that.
All we thought about doing was just being at the pool and just being shit-faced. And to us, that was relaxing. It was such a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Because we woke up exhausted, hungover, hot as shit, because it's fucking Mexico and it's just steamy hot out there at that time of the year. So none of that was relaxing. We were just lying to ourselves because that's all we knew. That's all we were comfortable with.
Yeah.
And going out of that was to go out of our comfort zone and to be sober and around people that we just didn't really know. And I mean, I know my family, but I don't see them often. So, it's like, it's anxiety and it's stressful. But we weren't we weren't willing to give that up because we weren't willing to sacrifice the drinking because to us that was more comfortable and it was just our thing.
Yeah. And I think too that goes along, like, new experiences opening up goes along with getting to know yourself, because, or what I said in the sense of like giving yourself the chance to show yourself who you are. And a lot of the things that like we've either have begun to do or want to do, back then it was my immediate response was like, well, I don't really like to do that. Mm-hmm. And I said that from a place because whatever you're telling me, that usually probably meant like I can't drink while doing it.
Yeah.
Like, let's go to a museum or let's go like to an art exhibit. Like, I don't really like doing that stuff. That's because it's more than likely you're not going to be allowed to drink in a museum, dude. Like, or going on a hike or doing something active. Like, unless I can drink, I don't really like to do it. But now, again, because you're removing that out, you're removing the alcohol, like, it changes your perspective and it gives you a chance to see, like, I always said I didn't like that because I couldn't drink. Let me just go try it. Maybe I actually do like it. And from the things that we have done, I kind of enjoy it. Like, okay, like I can do that. Like, or even if I've done it before, like I'm seeing it in a different way because I'm not drunk while doing it or even just buzzed while doing it. And it's just a different experience. So allowing yourself, like you just think like, again, like we started off like, oh, without drinking, it's going to be so boring. You think that, and it's probably going to feel like that at first because you're so used to it being a certain way and being like, blurry while doing it. But like when you do it and the more you do it in a sober state of mind, it changes. And like, again, things that you didn't find fun before because, whatever, like you couldn't drink while doing them, they begin to like, oh, okay. You just see it in a different way. And it's like, it's hard to explain. It's one of those things like you can't really explain it to someone. That's what I was kind of telling you about this episode. It really is like hard to list benefits because I know even myself, if I'm listening to this like a year ago, I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, that's good for you guys. But
and
I don't know.
One of the reasons why that happens is because alcohol creates such a haze over things, right? So it puts you in this state of mind of thinking that you're okay with something as long as you're drinking. So it's this weird lens that we just, whenever we decide to take a drink, it's like, I think about it now, like I get this visual of like, not only are you drinking, but you're also putting on these little freaking goggles that make you see things that are not really there. Right? So
beer goggles.
Yeah, the beer goggles, exactly. So you just become so tolerant to so many things that when you choose to remove alcohol, you're just like, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I okay to run my card for another freaking, $12 cocktail? No one in their right state of mind would be okay with half of the shit they do when they're drunk.
You put up with a lot of dumb shit and a lot of dumb people when you're drunk just because it's like, well, I know I don't really like these people, but it's at a bar. We're all drinking, so it's cool. So
to me, and I don't say this to blame anyone or shame anyone, because I still have moments of, where I feel like I miss those things. But when I'm really, really honest with myself and I'm in a healthy place within myself, I can very quickly remind myself of why I chose to not drink anymore. Because I remember walking into either parties or, so-called friends' homes or just environments that I wasn't 100% comfortable with and just immediately going for a drink because that was going to make it okay. That was going to make this situation okay and tolerable, and I was going to survive it because of this. And if you really stop and think, it's like, why would we ever put ourselves in situations like that just for, a lot of it is because we do tend to be, or we did tend to be people pleasing kind of, individuals. And that's something we've struggled with. And a lot of people, and that's another thing you hear in the sober community, when you struggle with people pleasing, you're more likely going to need some substance to keep that going. And a lot of times it's either food or alcohol. Those are the two things. Those are the comfort things, like the cushions that we use. Or in my case,
both.
Or both. Exactly, right? So same here. So that is definitely something that when you're sober, you find out very quickly what you like and what you don't like. Yeah. You find out very quickly if you try to do something that you used to do when you were drunk, like you realize like, oh shit, actually, I hated this.
Yeah.
I hated this. And I knew inside of me that I hated it. But I used to lie to myself and make it okay by just getting drunk. Or even if you weren't drunk, just to get buzzed, just to kind of calm your nerves. If you're nervous and you have anxiety, it's because something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's off.
And it empowers you because, again, it no longer, like, you'll no longer stick around a place or someone that you don't like or can't tolerate or just they annoy you just because, like, well, I'm drinking, so it's fine. It empowers you to be like, yeah, I don't really like you, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave because I don't really need to be here because I don't drink anyway, so whatever. And the thing is that it's literally just it's become a norm of society. I mean, and we see it in movies all the time or TV shows where it's like someone gets to a party or something and they're like, oh my God, did you see who's here? And it's like, oh, fuck. Well, I need a drink. Like, let me, at least if I'm going to have to be here, let me go get a drink. Or like, you know, someone walks into a bar like, hey buddy, how's it going? And then they give them serve them their beer. Like, oh, it's going better now. Or it's better now because I have this beer in my hand. Like, it's just how we like have been brainwashed to like, alcohol makes things better. Alcohol will fix you if you're sad. Alcohol will fix you if it'll help you celebrate. Alcohol if you have a heartbreak. Or if you just got a new boyfriend or girlfriend, like you just whatever, it's there for you. And we are brainwashed at a very early age to believe that. Like, it's just like the other day, family came over and it was like we kind of chuckled about it after me and Jess because it was just like, I just need a beer. I just take the edge off or the stress or driving or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, like that we realize like that's,
Well, you didn't say that. The person said it.
Yeah, the person said that. And it's like, that is what we've heard or what we've seen in either in real life with our family and our friends or in movies or whatever, that like, that's what alcohol is. When you feel stressed or sad or even happy, let's grab a drink and it'll make it better. And that's why people, and if you believe something and if you're told something over and over and over, it just becomes truth. Even if it's the most ridiculous thing, which when you step back, this poison makes things better. This poison will make things better. It's just, you hear it, and then you're just like, this poison makes things better. Like, duh, don't you know that? Like, you're stressed, have a drink, dude. Like, what's wrong with you? It's just, it is what it is.
Going into the next one is the, who are your real friends? Alcohol will make you believe that those shitty friends are actually real friends. Alcohol, and again, that goes back to the whole just you being in a haze and in a fog when you're drinking, because everyone, it's like, it's the whole drunk girl in a what is it, a bar, a restroom, a bar, what is it called? I forgot what they call it. Like,
I don't know.
It's like when, drunk girls go into the restroom, like at a bar or at a freaking club, like everyone thinks you're beautiful and everyone's like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Oh my God, I love your outfit. Oh my God, I love this. I love that. Like, when you're drunk, you love everyone. But you have no clue who this girl is. For all you know, she's a lying bitch. She's a backstabbing bitch. You don't know who this person is. We don't really know who they are because we're seeing them through the lens of drunkenness and craziness and loudness. And we're seeing things through a very, what's the word? A glamorized, romanticized lens. Filter of alcohol. And that can really, really like have you put yourself in situations that you really don't want to be in with people that you would never ever, when you're sober, you would never ever choose to be in with.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, and this isn't to say that none of our friends were real or true, like there's people that we're still friends with and people that drink and I love them and I care about them. But there is also a group of friends that we just know that we really didn't have anything in common with. Yeah. And there was a lot of times that we did just tolerate, whether it was rude comments or just even like, I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as like them being rude or mean or whatever, but we just didn't have anything in common. Like the things that we enjoyed,
drinking, yeah.
Right. The things that we really enjoyed outside of the, the drinking scene, we would have never associated ourselves with them because there was nothing there.
Yeah. Didn't make them bad people. It's just we're different. Like we don't see things the same way.
If you need to put yourself into a drunken state of mind to just tolerate these people, then what are you doing? Like, what are you really? Why are you doing this? And you would be surprised how many people are threatened by sobriety. How many people are feel so uncomfortable to be around people that don't drink because it causes them to stop and look at their own life, look at their own choices, and they don't want that.
Yeah.
They don't want that. They are so uncomfortable and they get defensive very, very quickly. And the problem with you wanting to continue these friendships is I'm a huge believer in like energy, and I think people's energy will eventually get to you. And if you continue to pursue these friendships, I feel that it could cause your sobriety, 1, and 2, it will really make you question why you started doing this in the first place. Because to you, it's like, well, they're my friends. Why would they want to jeopardize me, But if you give yourself enough time and distance, you'll see that they really weren't friendships. That's not a friendship. It's a distraction.
Yeah. I mean, we discussed that and there's a stigma around, like we said, it's kind of, I don't know. It literally, if I say it almost comes across how like oh my gosh, how am I even saying this? It'll come across like a white male nowadays can be like, I just feel, I feel like just so everyone's against me, And it's like, okay, settle down, white man. Like you're going to be like, the world's against you. But to say like, there's just a stigma around like healthy people.
Right.
Like, you're almost like, if you come across, you're just like, yeah, I'm someone that, I work out and I macro count and I watch what I eat and I don't smoke or drink. And people just look at you like, fuck out of here, dude. Like, what are you fucking... Everyone turns into someone from Boston. What do you think? You're fucking better than me? Or like... Right. No, dude, I'm not. I don't care. Like, I mean, I do care. You shouldn't do that stuff, but you can do it. I don't really mind. But it's like you're almost in defense. And again, we even said, like, sometimes it's like you don't even want to, like, tell people that, like, you work out or you're on a diet or that you don't drink. Because it's like, I want to fit in, just like me. But it kind of is. And again, I really think it stems from what you said. And again, everything we say, it's always because this is something that's happened to us or how we felt. And I know it was true for me. I didn't like being around fit people or sober people back in the day. Well, fit people because, again, it brought out questions in myself. If this guy's doing it, if this girl's doing it, like, damn, I'm a lazy sack of shit. Like, why am I fat and why don't I work out?
Highlights our insecurities.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then, with sober people, I don't want to hang out with them because I was like, oh, damn, this guy's boring. Like, but I would say this guy or this girl is boring because now I feel awkward to drink. Like, wait, so we're going to go out and you're not going to drink? So then I'm just going to be drinking by myself? Right. Like, ooh, this is boring. Like, I don't want to drink alone. I want someone to drink with. So I don't want to hang out with you. Like, it just kind of is what it is. But it's true. Like, there just is this stigma around it. And we were even talking about that with when I was saying, like, we kind of went down the rabbit hole of, like, celebrities that are sober, or sober journeys, just hearing random people's, like, why they got sober and how their journey is going, and blah, blah, blah. So you just YouTube after YouTube after YouTube. And I was saying, like, people who still drink or just haters on it will just be like, oh, everyone says the same fucking things, like, oh, changes this and it changes that, and it's like specific things like mental clarity and physical and blah blah blah, and better sleep and better sex and better this, and it's like, blah blah blah. They all say the same thing, like almost like the tone in their voice is like, it's just a lie. They're just saying that shit. It's just propaganda. Like, that doesn't really happen. And it's like, I don't know what you think, but it's not like some big conspiracy theory that like people are getting, like, look it, how about we all just start this like sober community and we trick people into stop drinking, like that'll be fucking funny, and like blah blah blah, we'll lie to them and tell them all these things. It's like, no, like, no one, we're not making money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm guessing, or I'm sure there are people that start companies to help people quit, like there's programs you sign up for, and okay, they're monetizing it, they're making money to join this program. But like, people who just share this, like this podcast, and people that share their story on YouTube, they're not getting any money if you stop drinking. They don't care. I mean, we care. We would like for everyone to be healthy, but if you stop or you don't, I'm just sharing my story. I'm just telling you how I feel, and I have no reason to lie, because I don't. By me sharing, if someone stops or they doesn't stop, it's not going to affect my life. I'm just going to continue feeling this.
And it's just comical to me, like, for people that are, that do get upset or bothered or offended by people that are making money on other people's sobriety, or people that are putting themselves there to help or to coach or to mentor them through their sobriety. It's fucking mind-blowing to me that they're like, they just want to make money. What do you think the alcohol industry is doing? You're giving them...
I heard they make some money. Did they make money on
millions of dollars? Oh, no,
they're past
trillions.
Yeah, like, they're in the trillions with a T.
Much money. You're okay with contributing to that, but you won't contribute to something that's actually going to help you and not hopefully, it will extend your life. It is just, it's ridiculous to me. It's comical.
And people, it's so funny. Anytime it's like when someone brings up like not drinking anymore or quitting smoking, like, well, my friend's grandma lived to be like 99 and she smoked every day. Oh, okay, cool. So like the one outlier that in life, but the other millions that die like daily from liver disease and lung cancer, like they're, we got that one old lady that made it.
I don't know. We will lie to ourselves. We will tell ourselves whatever we need to tell ourselves to keep the lie going.
Oh, yeah.
And to keep the unhealthy life going. And I'll say this, and it's going to sound kind of shitty, but this is why this is why people fall off the wagon so much, because they do it for somebody else, because someone told them they should do it, or someone, whatever. The truth is, the day that you decide to stop drinking or decide to take your life back into your own hands, whether it's giving up alcohol or finally, taking your health seriously, the day that you decide to do that is because you get tired of fucking lying to yourself. You get tired of living the same lie over and over and over. And that is the only way that it's going to work. Now, I'm not saying, the reason why I feel like it's important to share your journey is because there's a big lie, and basically what we were just talking about with, there's no life without drinking, right? Like, you give up everything. A lot of people, when you tell them that you stop drinking, like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. Like, what do you do? What would you do? Like,
I'll lose all my friends.
I'll lose
all
everything.
My friends
drink. And this is why I appreciate celebrities and people that are, known influencers that are like, yeah, I don't drink anymore, because you see their life and it's not boring. They live a very, abundant and fun life, and they don't have alcohol. So this is why I think it's important, but we're not here to like shame people or tell people like, no, when you do decide to do this for yourself, whatever the reason is, believe me, it is difficult, but there is so many rewards behind it. Like, there is a life outside of drinking. There is a life. There is joy. There is laughter. There is everything. That's funny. I heard something on one of the podcasts that I listened to, and this lady, she was sharing her story with someone, and she laughed about something. And she said, for the first time, I heard a genuine laugh come out of me. She's like, because I had always been drunk, and I just would laugh at everything. I just would be so stupid, and just, like, everything was a joke to me. And for the first time, I heard my laugh, my real, true, genuine laugh, as someone that doesn't drink. And it's like little things like that that make you realize, like, man, alcohol really does. You lose yourself. You lose everything about yourself when you drink. And I think we need to hear more stories like that, because you feel that you are losing so much, such a huge part of yourself, such a huge part of your identity, that you almost like you talk yourself out of it, because you're like, no, it's scary. It is scary, and it is hard. It is very difficult. But when you begin to get to the other side of it, it gets exciting. And like, once the scary part starts getting less scary, you start to get more and more excited about, what else can I do sober? What else can I experience through a sober mind, And if you lose friends, they weren't your friends. Yeah. I mean, and that's such an old saying, but it's true. It is true. And I will even go as far as this. And like, obviously you and I'm so grateful that we're doing this together. But even if your spouse drinks, I think you need to do this for yourself. If you lose your spouse, then trust me, your spouse is going to have to do their own work and do what they need to do to figure themselves out. But this journey is about you and yourself, and discovering who you really are without such a toxic substance in your life.
Yeah. I think, and again, it's always like when you try anything, especially if it's hard, like trying to quit something or change something, like going on a diet or something like that, immediately we go to, well, what are we going to lose? What am I sacrificing? I can't have alcohol. I can't, on a diet, I can't have, eat pizza and ice cream and stuff. And it's like, but you really need to, going into anything that's going to be difficult, you have to like, well, what am I going to gain from this? Even if it takes time, what will I gain from this sacrifice? Even like budgeting, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to spend on this, and I can't buy this and I can't buy that. But you're gaining financial freedom at some point. You're gaining that financial security. And one of the things that we, have talked about, and then, we have on our list here, is like gaining the ability to, deal with your problems, deal with your emotions. Because like we said, people, like what we just said, like, oh, if you're sad, well, let's have a drink, dude. You'll feel better. Or let's celebrate. Oh my God, take a shot. Like, it's happy. I'm happy, so let's take a shot. I'm heartbroken. I'm whatever. I'm depressed. Alcohol's going to fix it. But alcohol doesn't do that at all. If anything, it just makes it worse. At first, maybe you feel like it does, but ultimately it'll just make it worse. If you're sad, you get drunk, yeah, you're going to feel all happy or whatever, like when you're drunk. But then, I come from a Mexican family. By the end of the night, someone's fucking crying, dude. We're all hugging and we're just crying, and I love you and I'm so sorry. Blah, blah, blah. It just brings out the emotions. And like, one thing, and I know we've shared this in other episodes, we would not, like, Jess and I had a lot of problems in our marriage and our relationship because we never expressed our emotions, and we let all that shit build up until we went out Friday night and got drunk, and then like just threw it all up in the most unhealthiest way at the most unhealthiest time, and expect something to come from that. And it never did. So sobriety allows you to feel that emotion, process that emotion, and then speak it out and do what you got to do. When you're drunk and when you're just busy thinking about alcohol, goes back to that cycle of when am I drinking, now that I'm drinking, and then the ramifications and the consequences of the hangover of drinking. you don't have time to like think about all that.
Right.
So it really does allow you, sobriety allows you to, again, get to know yourself and get to know what you're feeling at all times. And a lot of that times it just, alcohol makes that stuff go away. Like we said, with the whole, Gen Z, there's a lot more Gen Zers that don't drink. However, use of psychedelics has gone up because I think their generation is really more about like, fuck the drug that makes you not think. I want the drug that makes you think. Like, let's take some mushrooms. Let's do some DMT. That's going to open my mind. I'm going to get to be in touch with myself and my environment. Like, I'm not promoting doing psychedelics, or maybe I am. I don't know. But alcohol just kind of numbs everything, and it's for. And again, we're not calling anyone out. I'm saying it to my old self. It's for people that are too fucking scared to want to deal with anything. They just want to run away from it. I want to shut it off. I want to shut it away. I don't care. I don't want to deal with that right now. Let me just be drunk. I'll just be drunk and I'll cry by myself. Don't worry about me. And I did that for year after year after year. And one really quick, the last thing was one thing I remember. I forgot what his name. Rich, the podcaster. That's the runner.
Oh, Rich Roll or something? I think so, yeah.
What he was saying, he was like, and what made it stand out, I don't know if he said that because that's what he was trying to say, but he was saying, he goes, what, like doing something, thinking that it's going to be different. Like, I'm going to drink this time, but I'm not going to get too drunk. I'm not going to spend too much money. And I'm only going to drink to where I don't feel like shit the next day. And doing that every single time, saying that, but then every single time, you get shit-faced drunk, you spend way too much money than you thought you were going to spend, and you feel like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
Doing that, thinking it's going to be different, is called alcoholism. And I'm like, that's the same, very, very similar to doing something over and over, expecting a different result is called insanity. Oh, alcohol, insanity, it's the same fucking thing. You're insane if you think that it's good for you. You're insane if you think it's going to be different this time around, because it never fucking is. Alcohol always ends up in the same outcome of those things that I just said. Like, it's just never good.
I think because we have never, I'll speak for myself, but I was never taught to deal with my emotions, to deal with feelings that I've might have developed through life, and emotions that came up because of them, or because of my experiences. I wasn't taught to do any of that. You were taught to, whether my mom knew it, my family knew it or not, but you were taught to suppress it. You were taught to shut it down. You were taught to just kind of ball it up and I don't know, like we said before, it's let it come up when you're shit-faced and you're drunk out of your mind, right? Like, we were never taught to deal with things in a healthy way. So when those feelings began to get overwhelming and too much, you want to shut it down more and more and more. And this is when we need to drink more. This is when we need to drink more often. This is, all those things that we feel like we need to do. But the problem is that those feelings and those emotions never go away. They never, ever, ever go away. And we, I think about people that I know, and even myself, in the past, where I just thought like, well, I'm stressed again, so I must need a drink. I'm sad again, so I must need a vacation and spend 3 days of just drinking the entire time. I'm this, I'm that, so I must need another drink, because that's the only coping mechanism I had. That's the only thing that I ever saw in my life that was modeled, that showed that people were going to have fun. That's how you can forget about all these things. But the problem is that all those things that you were pushing down always eventually come back up, right? Like, it just doesn't go away. So it is insanity. It is insane to think that you can drink your problems away. It doesn't. You never could. You never will. What happens? You eventually die with all those problems. And here's the sad part, and I say this because we have lost a few people in our family, on my side of the family, to alcoholism, and they died and they left a shit show. And this is why I say that even when you die, you leave all the things you left behind that were never dealt with. And it's being an alcoholic, although I understand it is a disease, and I know that it is something that not a lot of people can say that they, if they can change it, they would. But I think a lot of people just kind of submit to their darkness, I guess you can say, their disease. But there is something very selfish about it. And there is something very, very toxic about it, because there's been many times that I know, that we had conversations with loved ones, and I think everyone has a moment of clarity where you have a chance to do something, and a lot of people don't. And I think the reason is because of the lie. It just keeps that toxic mindset going of like, well, then what would I do without drinking? Like, I don't know, maybe fucking heal. Maybe, because here's the thing too. There's another thing that they talk a lot about in the sobriety community is emotional sobriety, right? Like, you can quit alcohol and not deal with your problems, and I promise you eventually will drink again. Yeah. Either that, or you'll replace that addiction with something else, whether it's drugs, whether it's food, whatever, sex, whatever you want to replace it with, it will in some way manifest in another area of your life. And it's funny because I know that when I stopped drinking, I leaned on social media. And it got to the point where like, I need to get the fuck off social media, because I'm replacing one thing with another and another and another. I have to deal with whatever it is that I feel like I need to distract myself from. I have to deal with it and I have to face it. And we had a couple of times where you and I were like, holy shit, we might not make it. We might actually, our relationship might be in a very rocky place, because all these things we haven't dealt with for years are coming up, and they're in your face now. And we can either find a new distraction or we just face it.
Yeah, like you said, exactly. The foundation or the catalyst for real change in your life, like I'm going to really find out who I am, requires getting to the root of your bullshit, of your problems, of your trauma, of the shit that you've been pushing down and suppressing since childhood. And you're right, you can quit drinking, you can quit smoking, you can get fit, you can start going to the gym, you can get fucking 6-pack abs, you can have all of that. But if you don't deal with your crap, it's pointless. It's just superficial. Like, yeah, you're healthy now and you look great and you're sober and all this. But then I'm sure like when you're by yourself, you still cry yourself to sleep because you're just like still hurting from the crap that you've suppressed. So what I believe is that when you stop drinking or whatever, you get off whatever drug that you're on, whatever you're addicted to, it frees up that bandwidth. It frees up that space in your head for you to even make the initial, like, what's wrong? Like, what's like, even to be able to just say that or think that, or to
like hear it.
Yeah, like, oh, wait, what am I feeling right now? Like, because that alcohol or whatever that was, whatever that addiction was, like you said, if it's heroin, if it's drinking, if it's food, it always just numbs it, and it makes that, like, makes that voice go away. But as soon as that stuff is removed, you can hear it. And it's like, first it's a whisper, but then eventually if you don't deal with it, it becomes screaming at you like, deal with this fucking problem that you have. And, by, again, removing that stuff, it allows you to at least begin to start that first initial step of doing it. And it's unfortunate. Like the people that you've lost, people that we've lost, who knows? Because I like, we were just watching something earlier this morning where it's like, they were talking about obesity, but it's like, is obesity a choice or a disease? And you can say that with alcoholism too. Is it a choice or is it a disease? And like, I really feel it, like, I think it's not black and white. There is gray area, But it is really both, because I believe both obesity and alcoholism is a disease. If you are an alcoholic, you have the disease of alcoholism. But like you said, at some point you come and you have that choice to make. Mm-hmm. Okay, I realize that I have some sort of problem with this. What am I going to do about it? Right. And you make that choice to either stop or to continue on. And the sad thing is that sometimes you don't hit, or you don't feel that you come to that crossroads, and it's till it's too late. And maybe by that point, like, even if you try, maybe you're so far gone that it's just, now you've become physically addicted to it, not just mentally. And like, I'm not saying that it isn't possible. You probably should still try, but sometimes when it's like you get to a point where you're dealing with so much shit that you've, pushed down trauma and things that you've never dealt with, and you've had gone decades upon decades of drinking and being under the influence of this poison, it, like, the deck's just stacked against you. And that's when it's a sad, and you see the very, very dark side of, like, you see alcohol or whatever drug it is for the fucked up thing that it is, which is a relentless take thing that doesn't give two shits about you. It just wants to consume you. It's a parasite that just wants to fucking take over your mind, take over your heart, take over your body. Like, it's just all mine. You're mine. I got you. And it sucks. Like, you want people, like even young people that are beginning to drink, like, if you could just fucking for like 10 seconds show them that, give them the feeling that the 60-year-old man who's drank his whole life would just, like, so scared and just like, I can't stop, it's consumed me. Make that 20-year-old who's just fucking doing keg stands and taking shots of fucking Jaeger feel that for 10 seconds. Like, this is what it's gonna feel like. They will, like, fuck that, dude, I'm not doing that shit. But it's unfortunate. You can't make them feel that. It's like we said, like, you can't teach a young person anything. They have to go through it. They have to experience it. And the only thing that you can hope is that you catch on at an earlier rather than a later age, so that it gives you a chance to, like, to beat it, to just like, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, fuck, would I give anything to go back 20 years and be 20 years old right now with the wisdom and understanding of what alcohol has kind of taken away in these last 20 years of my life? It would be completely different, Yeah. But how I look at it, I just turned 40. I spent half of my life being, drunk and drinking and doing all that. Let's see what the other half brings in that sense,
Yeah, and I think this is a good way to go into the next one, is going against the norm. And ultimately, when you are finally faced with what alcohol really is and what it really does to yourself and to others as well, you have to make a choice. Am I going to go against the grain and go against what everybody else is doing just because they say that it's okay and it's cool and it's fun? Or am I going to actually do something different for myself and for whether you have kids or not? I mean, honestly, I think people that see us and that know us now, they probably look at us like, holy shit, like, you guys really did it. Like, you guys, actually stuck to it, and not only to your sobriety, but to your diet, to your nutrition, to your workout regimens. Like, you guys are actually doing it. And I think that's cool, because you don't realize, and I don't think you should do it for anybody else. You do it for yourself, but there is an effect. There's a ripple effect that comes with that. You begin to influence people. You begin to be something that represents, like health and sobriety and going against the grain. Like, it takes a lot of freaking work to be where we're at right now. Like, I mean, we're still on work in progress. There's still a lot of things that we can do, but we've come pretty far in such a short amount of time, because we gave up the one thing that kept setting us back over and over and over. And it has been one of the hardest things to do, because every relationship, everything we'd ever done, every fun thing, every experience, I mean, every picture I have on my phone, more likely we were drinking. So we had to really not just go against the grain, but we had to go against everything we have ever been taught about fun and about excitement and connection and all of it, you know, and it's hard and it is lonely and it is dark at times, but alcohol, the world of alcohol gets very, very dark and there's no light at the end of that tunnel. Mm-mm. Unless you are talking about the final light, right?
Right, exactly. And
I'm not trying to get dark on it, but I'm just saying, like,
well, no, but
it's the reality, it's the truth, and this is what people don't want to talk about. Yeah. Hey, alcohol can lead to you becoming an alcoholic. How do you feel about that? Yeah. People don't want to fucking hear that.
And it's unfortunate that we have to, you know, title this one like going against the norm. That it's like it's baffling that the norm is alcohol. The norm is to drink. I mean,
it's socially accepted.
Look how much alcohol is just infested in our movies, in our music, on billboards, on commercials, in professional sports, and just anything and everything. And again, like I said, there's the stigma, like we said, like because we were those people where if we went somewhere to go, I'm gonna get a drink. Can I get you something? Oh, I don't drink. Like, oh. Like, it almost, you don't, even if you don't even make that sound or look at them funny, in your head, you're just like, oh, I got one of these fucking people. Yeah. It's almost like someone from Scientology. Like, oh, no. Well, the next thing they're going to do is probably try and convince me I should stop drinking.
When I went to a bar with a friends a couple months ago, and I ordered a club and, you know, just a club and lime, and they were just, even the bartenders. They just gave me this look like...
They're like, you mean with vodka?
Like, really?
No, just club.
I don't know, as if they had to go and make the carbonated water themselves, right?
Like
there.
It's harder for them
to do. It was harder for them
bartenders
because
they're just like, oh, this person's not going to rack up a tab and I'm not going to get a tip from them.
I mean, they still charged me. For all they know, maybe I could have left them at least a couple $1 tips. They still served me.
Right.
But
they shouldn't even charge for club. It's water.
No, they sure
should. Carbonated water.
But I'm saying, like, there's so much shame. There's like such a, I guess I can go as far as saying like a stigma around that, because it's just like, oh, there are those people. Like,
because it's just the norm to drink, like I said. And it's like, I think we talked about it on the first part of this, where it's like, it's mind-blowing to see, and we know exactly what they're doing, how they're just like marketing towards kids with like the buzz balls and all that shit of like strawberry flavored and watermelon flavored. It's like, who are you really making this shit for? Like, duh, it's kind of obvious. It's just like the sweet nicotine stuff, like all those, you know, the vapes. Like, and it's to start them young, you know?
I think too, and the more and more that I talk to people and we tell people that we're sober now, they're just like, oh, well, I mean, I just couldn't do that because like I need to have fun in my life. What the fuck does that mean? Yeah. So my life is just gonna be the most boring thing in the fucking world. Like,
it's like I would be sober.
I need to have fun. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, yeah, because fun and my freaking like my agenda is just completely non-existent. Like, really?
Right. Like, I would be sober, but like I just choose to not be a horrible piece of shit person like you. Like, God, oh, okay.
And I don't know. Like, I know that sounds like, the thing is that I feel like when we say we don't drink anymore, they take it as a judgment. This is just my assumption. Maybe I shouldn't assume things.
Yeah, we're judging them. Like, it's on them. Right. Like, and I'm so telling you to
automatically have to come back with like, well, I need to have fun, so I'm not going to do that. Like, okay, well, I actually can have fun. I just don't have fun doing the things that I used to do. Yeah. So my fun looks a little different.
And they take it immediately. And again, there's probably some people that do. They use it as a flex. Like, well, I don't drink, so therefore I'm better than you. And it's like,
oh no, there is people
calm the
like
fuck
that.
Down, dude. Like, you don't drink, that's fine. Like, and it ain't better than me.
In their defense, I'll say this, because it does take a lot of work to not drink. So I can understand why people feel a little superior, because you don't understand the amount of energy, especially in early sobriety, that it takes to go somewhere, especially because nowadays anywhere you go, there's drinking, there's alcohol. It does take a lot of energy. And when you build that confidence within yourself, or you build that like you work out that muscle of like saying no to a drink, muscle, yeah. That discipline, there you go. You do get a little cocky about it, you know. It is because it is a muscle and it does grow and develop. And
well, it's sort of like how we said, like when you see fit people at the store,
right?
Like now that we kind of know, and we just over the years now of like what it is, what a healthy diet is, workout consistency, you know, hypertrophy, how to build muscle, like how much goes into it. Like fuck,
it's
when
exhausting.
You see someone with a 6-pack and that, you know, has arms and legs, it's like, good for you, bro. Right. Like you're a fucking disciplined person, man. Like that's good on you, you know. Like so, it's the same thing when you see someone that like, and again, like you're not, unless you ask them, like someone's like, oh, I don't drink. I mean, I don't know if this person has never drank their whole life, or is, you know, just on their sober journey, and maybe they're in month 1, maybe they're on year 10. I don't know, but you know, it's still like good on you, like because if you are someone that is quitting, then I know how hard that is, and I know that it's always in the back of your head. So
and
like,
again, we know that because we are experiencing this now, right? Like we can say that, and that's what I'm saying, that I give those people a little bit of grace, because normally people that flex in that way of like, oh, well, I don't drink, like, and they're kind of like arrogant about it. It's like they're probably very early on their sobriety journey.
Or they're a douche.
Or they're a dick, yeah. But I'm saying, anyways, like this is going way off track, but I'm saying that I get why they're like that, because it takes a lot of work and a lot of discipline. But I think when you begin to get a little bit more comfortable with not drinking, you don't even have to explain yourself. You're just like, yeah, we're not drinking, you know. And it's not because, you know, you're just on this high horse. It's just because you don't need that, and you don't want it, and that's it. That's really it, and no other explanation. You know, you could choose to bring it back into your life, but it didn't benefit me, so I'm just not gonna do it.
Just because he said that really quick, that video that we watched of that guy, the one that you sent me, where one of his, like, I think he just went through, you know, I don't know what it was. It was a list of something, but one of them was just like, have a response prepared.
Oh yeah.
So that, I guess it's like reasons to not like fall back into it. But he was, and it's like true, because when you go out and let's say you're hanging out with friends maybe you haven't seen in a while, or family, or even just meeting new people, and you have to say like, well, I don't drink, and be like, oh, well, why? It's funny because it's just like, again, because it's such the norm. Why don't you drink? That is strange to me. And it's like, well, I don't know why that would be strange. It's just sort of like someone would be like, oh my God, that person's doing heroin. Like, oh, I don't do heroin. They're not going to be like, well, why don't you do heroin? I don't fucking know, because it'll kill me. Like, that should just be the answer for not drinking. Like, I don't know, because it's fucking poison, but you don't want to, again, sound like a douche. But he was like, have a response prepared. And it's just, again, it's funny because it's like, you really kind of do. But he was like, once you... you know, or at least because I know he's still kind of only at like 9 months or 10 months or something. You get to a point, I would imagine, where once you're like so much into it, and people are just like, "Well, why don't you drink?" Like, I just don't. Like, I don't have a response for you, because it's like, why do I got to give you a reason?
I can give you my real and honest, 100% truthful and fucking in your face response.
Well, you want to get judgy? I'll get judgy.
The response that honestly, it's kind of like, this is what you're gonna get, like, because it's really none of your business why I don't drink. Yeah. But yeah, it's just don't. Just don't.
I mean, I can see if it's like friends, especially like if I were to hang out with my friends from high school who I haven't seen in a while, they know me as like the fucking drinker. Yeah. So like if I come at them, or I don't drink anymore, they'd be like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, why? What happened?
Yeah.
And I can understand. Okay, well, then I can explain like, hey, I wanted to just change my life and, you know, to experience it without alcohol and blah, blah, like, but, yeah, it's just, I just found that funny that one of the reasons or one of the things, tricks to not fall back into things is like, have a response ready. And it's just like, damn, I guess so. But the other thing that you said too, that, a little bit ago, was just the whole doing it for yourself. And I think that's everything. And, you know, you always hear that from like, fitness trainers too, like, the change that you're gonna make will only stick when you say fuck it to every other reason or motivation, and you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
I think the only thing that comes close to that is when you're a parent and you're doing it for your kids, because that was one thing too, especially like on our health thing of getting, healthy and not being obese, like, is I have kids and now we have a granddaughter. Like, I need to fucking be active. I want to be in my 70s and 80s and still be walking and running and being able to pick them up and like things like that, like, so I want to live long for them. And, we're parents of special needs kids. Like, it's always in the back of our heads, like, who will take care of our kids when we die? So I'm trying to get as many years on this earth with them to be able to be there for them. And that is one thing too. And again, I don't say, like how you mentioned, like, we were never really taught how to deal with our emotions. And, both of us coming from, Mexican families, and it's not just Mexican families, it's Irish, it's white, it's black. But when you come from families that are drinkers, you just at a very early age see that, and that's why it becomes normalized in your head. Like, yeah, you drink when it's a party, you drink when you get together, when someone comes over, you offer them a beer. Like, it's just,
you tolerate people you don't like.
Exactly, you tolerate them saying dumb shit and like,
Auntie so I can't stand that bitch.
When she has her third glass of wine, we're gonna start hearing it, but I guess we just allow it because she's drunk.
I'll just drink more to deal with it.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's what I'm saying. I don't sit here and blame my parents or blame my cousins or whatever. Like, you are the reason why I drink. Like, but it's a very common tale where most of the time
they saw it as they were growing up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a cycle that you don't change unless you do change it.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that Jess and I both said. Like, we want to quit drinking, and like, we have our two boys that are early teenagers, or now actually not early now, they're mid teenagers. But and then we have our older son who already has his own family. And like I was saying, how like we're doing this now for our younger boys because to plant that seed, to show them like, hey, I remember when my mom and dad changed. Like, they went from being fat people and then they got, like fit, and they went to the gym every day and they ate good, and they don't drink anymore. Like, to plant those seeds. And again, I don't know how much our kids pay attention to us, but in my head, I'm just going to go with they pay attention to every single thing I do.
We pay attention to our parents.
Exactly, right?
What would make us any different,
exactly.
right?
How many things can you recall? Like, I remember my dad doing that or my mom doing that. So it's like, why would they be different? So like planting those seeds in their heads of like, this is how you should live. You should want to be healthy. You should want to be fit. You shouldn't drink alcohol. It's really not good for you. Like, you shouldn't do these things, so that, who knows? And again, they're going to grow up and make whatever decisions they make. But at least plant those seeds. And that's something that I do regret and I feel, bad for now. For our older son, seeing how we were. And we've had conversations with him now. And I know that he is a very smart, wise person. And he kind of already sees that because he's told us, like, oh yeah, I knew you guys were drinking all the time. You guys would be drunk and blah, 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 family get-togethers and whatnot. And he has an understanding of drinking. And what I am very proud of, not to say like, oh, because we put that in his head, but like just for him to know that, is that, and again, it's that Gen Z, man. They're just smarter. Like, they're just more open. They have more information available to them, that he's already aware at an early age. Like, yeah, I know really drinking's not. That ain't the business, man. We really shouldn't be doing it. Like, does he drink? Yeah, he drinks, here and there. Like, it's just like, he already at an early age has that seed growing in him. Like, I probably need to stop doing this. I really probably shouldn't do it as much. Like, or I shouldn't do it.
I mean, that's what we hope, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We hope this is another seed that we're planting.
Exactly. And at least to show him, if I couldn't show him at an early age to just never do it or not do it, I can at least show him that it's never too late to make the change in your life. And the younger you do it, it's probably easier to, but that you can do it. And that's the seed we're trying to plant in his head now.
You can show him that you can always choose something different, and that choice is always there for you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you do it now. I mean, better if you do it sooner than later, just like you were saying, because I think of the 29 years that I wasted drinking. I could have done a whole lot of other things, but I can also just make the excuse like, well, I'm already going to be 44, so fuck it. Right. I'll live, whatever the
I don't got that much longer
20,
to live.
30 years.
Like
but, it was only getting worse. Yeah. So I just wouldn't have been a smart move on me to keep it going and keep doing it. one of the final things I want to talk about is the financial benefits. We recently I went to go see my son in Montana, and I stayed at an Airbnb. And even that trip alone, the fact that I was able to just go and afford to go and see him and visit them was like, back in the day when we were drinking, we would have never been able to do that, right? Like, we never had the funds, we never had money. You made a lot more money back then, and we were broke all the time.
I really wish I could go back and like total how much we have spent since knowing each other. Like, it would be like crazy to see that number.
I don't understand.
Because you have to understand.
I don't understand. And I don't like to look back and regret, but I do not understand.
Yeah, because we were saying
how we didn't have money.
We would go out, and like when it's at its highest, it would be 100 plus. Not for the night. Each individually, you would drink $100+ tab. Mm-hmm. I would drink $100+ tab alone. So we're looking at over 200.
I don't know why we would do that. We'd have different tabs. Like, you had your card and I had my card.
Because I would go up, it would be under yours, and then I would be drunk and go up.
Yeah.
And then be like, here's my card, because I was drunk, and like, oh yeah, I forgot we already had a card. And then the bartender would be like, yeah, I have both of them. Like, oh, how funny. And then fucking double tip him because we were drunk. And it's like, yeah.
So I went to go see our son and the baby and our daughter-in-law in Montana, and I stayed at an Airbnb, and they had an amazing bed, and I'm like, oh my god, this bed is so amazing. And I had messaged the owner, and I was like, hey, what kind of bed is this? And she sent me the information, and we bought the bed, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time that we've ever had the means to buy something for ourselves.
Yeah, that's like beneficial
that
for
actually
ourselves.
Will benefit us, and to have the money. And it's just like, it was mind-blowing to me, because I'm like, we never had money. Never ever had money. It was always just, I mean, even when we weren't like towards the end, before we decided to stop drinking, we weren't drinking as much, but it was still $70 here, $60 there, not including the food, not including all the bullshit that we would buy for the weekend, the days after, because binge drinking would lead to binge eating. Yeah. Never failed. So like, that's like what, $300 there probably for the weekend. Like, even if we were only doing it every other weekend, think about it. That's $600 a month that were just gone.
Yeah.
And people are quick to drop money. And not just like on our drinks, but sometimes we would buy friends' drinks. And it's like, why?
Yeah, like,
why?
You guys want some shots? Like, the shots are like $8, dude. Again, you just bought like 8 shots.
Things that you, like, when you're drunk, you get stupid, and all of a sudden you have the freaking beer goggles on, and money's just money, and it's nothing. And it is. It is something. It could mean buying a really nice freaking mattress that it's taken us years. We've been married for how long? Like, and we've been sleeping on old mattresses.
Got from people, or
we got a mattress from your aunt, and she had already been using it. I mean, it's an amazing mattress. Like, it's really comfortable, but it was like, it's old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Why? Why were we okay with spending all this money on alcohol, but buying ourselves something nice was just never, like, we never thought about it. For some reason, we felt guilty about that. And it's just so crazy to me. But anyways, the financial part of it, it is, alcohol will drain you of not just your life, but your finances. And before you know it, you are cutting things out that need to get paid just so you can drink. Yeah. I can say that if people answer honestly, I bet you anything that people have planned trips or, Vegas trips, vacation trips that they're going to be drinking. They probably have put some bills, because I know we did it, aside just to be able to have money.
Yeah.
to be able to drink. I'm embarrassed to say that, but it's the truth. This is the truth and the reality of people that drink and have a very toxic and unhealthy relationship with alcohol. They will do whatever they need to do to make sure that they can drink wherever they're going.
And it sucks because, like, if you ask us, like, you know, times that we've gone to Vegas, and it's like, yeah, dude, we'd spend like over $1,000, and it's like, oh, damn, you must have stayed
in Vegas.
But they would be like, oh, you must have stayed at a really nice place, and maybe you went to see a show, and it's like, no, we actually stayed in Fremont and didn't really go see any shows. No. So you spent over $1,000 staying in fucking Fremont. So you spent what? Okay, for the weekend, it's maybe like $250, $260 for the rooms. So that means that you spend like $800 on just food and alcohol. Like, yep. Yeah. I mean, Vegas is expensive. I get it, but
everything
most of our thing now. So it's like, I wonder now, and it's like, because we still have yet to go back to Vegas being sober, like how different it would be. But like looking at it, like what's cool is like if we were still down to spend usually how much we would spend on alcohol and bullshit, we can actually put that and stay somewhere really nice, or get a really fucking nice Airbnb, and it's like, or go see a show, go see really cool like show. These things, like actually see Vegas, the other side of it, and spend just the same amount of money, but like get so much more out of it, rather than all we did was get drunk, get fat on food, and come back horribly, miserably hungover for the next 2 to 3 days.
Never filled.
Yeah, it's filled. We literally would pay all that money to feel like shit
to recover. Days. Because it wasn't like, oh, we would only drink at night. We drank from the moment we woke up.
We had to have alcohol in the room. We had breakfast and
coffee, okay? Yeah. And then immediately
we had to have alcohol in the room.
Oh yeah.
To just be drinking in the room before, going out and drinking.
And we were putting ourselves in such a hard place financially, such a tough place financially.
Oh yeah, well we've been being just
completely just pretending that it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad and that we weren't in a bad place. And not to get too personal, but the fact that we had to file bankruptcy and we lost our, cars, and it's like these were red flags that were just shoved in our face, that and we just still
not even gonna look at it.
And this is why I think I feel very strongly about ever considering or reintroducing alcohol into my life, because I think about all those things that we have gone through. We've been together for 16 years, 17 years now.
Yeah.
Everything that we've done, all the excuses we've made, and this is even before you and I met. Just everything that I've done in my life, that I made excuses to keep alcohol in my life, I really have to ask myself, is there a chance that those excuses can come back if you ever reintroduce drinking again? I don't know. I really don't know, because I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know how much of alcohol was the reason. I don't know if I'm
willing to find out.
Right.
I just don't. I don't, because I see the choices and the mind clarity that I have right now. Do I still make stupid choices? Yes. There's still shit that I can probably don't need to be spending on. I don't need to be buying Amazon. I don't, there's things that
I'm glad you brought it up. We have to have a talk.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Next episode. There's a lot of things that I know that I still could choose different and do differently. But I do feel that there is a level of clarity that comes from being sober, that these were real, life-changing choices that we were making, life-altering choices and decisions that we were making, that we didn't care. There was just no consequences, because to us, all we cared about was but I get to drink. And I get to do this, and I get to go have fun, and it was such a lie. And I know a lot of people that still lie to themselves, and they pretend that everything's good and everything's cleaned up and I'm fine. But if you really are honest about to yourself, you're choking. Because you're just that alcohol in some way is clouding your ability to think straight and think clearly, and you're making some really poor decisions that are putting you in a very tough place. And I know this because we lived it.
Yeah.
And
you never truly know yourself or the relationships that you're in. And that could even include your marriage. Like, again, if you're like us, the foundation of our relationship was alcohol when we met and for the last X amount of years. So we can honestly say, like, we don't really, like, it's only been these last 9 months that we've begun to, like, truly see ourselves, because we literally started even when we were friends, as drinking friends. So this is like the first 9 months of, like, getting to know each other in a sense, in a way. And and it's true with anything with that. That's either your marriage or your friendships, your relationships at work, coworkers. Like, again, it's getting to know yourself, like how you'll act in these relationships, how you'll act in these situations and in these environments is probably pretty different than how you would have acted when you were drinking. So it's just it's crazy. And in like I said, in the last 9 months, all these realizations have slowly but surely just been kind of coming in, creeping in, and some of them very thrilling and exciting and cool, some of them scary and intimidating, but it's been just like a journey. Now I understand why they call it a journey, because it really is, like, ups and downs and everything. But I'm just too freaking curious to see, like, well, what else is it gonna bring?
Right.
How else am I gonna change? Like, give myself, it's like almost like my body and my mind and my spirit are just like fucking like, thank you. You finally allowed us to just be like, and again, like, I started drinking at such an early age. I don't even know what my adult self is. Like, I feel like when you start drinking 13, 14, 15, you kind of get stuck there. Like, you progress.
Well, they say
like,
your emotional maturity
like, it's
stops
stunted
when you start drinking.
Because, exactly. Your emotions, you don't know how to deal with emotions because you're usually drinking.
Right.
And then you'll only want to deal with them when you're drunk, and then that's not in any way a healthy way to do it at all. So it's like, I think the biggest thing I would hope that you guys would take away is just give yourself the chance. Like, give yourself just the chance to, like, see what's the hype all about. And a lot of times people do like that guy. And I thought that guy's channel was so cool because he was like, it started off as dry January. I'm just going to give myself the what is it, 30 days, 31 days of being sober in January. And then that led to 3 months, because after those 31 days, I was like, oh shit, this is kind of cool. All right, I'm going to do 3 months. Then he did 3 months, and he's like, and then those 3 months, I was like, might as well just do 9 months. Or no, from 3 months he went to a year. He's like, now I'm waiting for it to hit that year mark. And I think that's just kind of how it is. Again, it's not this, like, pyramid scam or this fucking conspiracy where we're like, let's just build an army of sober people. No, it's like, really, everyone feels the same thing, because it's not a coincidence. You really do just feel good, and then you get addicted to that good feeling. Like,
your curiosity changes, or what you become curious in, because when you're drinking, you're curious to see how much funner. That's not the word. It's not a word.
How much more fun?
How much more exciting? I know, I sound dumb. How much more exciting? The funnerest. How much funner? I'll just say it. I don't care.
You can't. It's more fun.
Okay. How much more fun the next drink can be? How much better this experience can get? Let's have one more drink, and let's see how much better it gets.
No, it does.
It doesn't get better.
It's that first drink, that first initial feeling of, that was the peak. You should have just stopped right there.
But
that was it.
Sobriety.
That just actually
your curiosity now grows to see how much better, because it does get better. Yeah. So the payoff for choosing sobriety and seeing how much better it gets when you choose another day of sobriety, it's real. Yeah. Because it does. And I mean, yes, does it come with its challenges? Yes. But there's so many things that I feel become better. Our relationship became better. Our connection became better. Our experiences have become better. Our experiences with our children, our experiences with other people, maybe a little more challenging, but they become more real, right? Like it's real. We're showing up as ourselves. Like everything becomes more real because of sobriety.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think your curiosity for what's next, I think, is focused on a much healthier, it's focused in a much healthier place than before, with your curiosity of like, see if I can have another drink, another shot. Like, yeah, that's just gonna be messy. Like, so it's, again, it is a little bit of a lonely road. But I'm very grateful that I have you to walk this with me. I know it would be very, very challenging, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that I made the choice that I made, and I'm glad that you decided to come along. But you do have to do it for yourself, because you can do this for as long as you feel like you want to do it for somebody else, but eventually that's going to burn out. And then you're just going to be like, well, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. Like, and you don't have a real why to why you want to do it. And people that always say like, well, I want to stop drinking because I want to look better. Like, hey, if that's the reason, do it.
Yeah, whatever your reason.
Cares?
People will be like, well, that's such a superficial reason. I don't give a shit.
Who cares?
It's my reason, and
when
that's what's helping me to do it.
And we feel better. It's because we're doing something that's helping us feel that.
Your confidence just goes up.
Exactly. So, I ultimately, the takeaway from these last 9 months, I feel that I am excited to see what's what else is coming. And I'm also very grateful that I have been able to see a lot of things that I couldn't see before. Even though they were hard things, even though some things were things that I had been covering up with, my beer goggles. Me, actually, it was whiskey goggles, but
mine was double whiskey goggles.
I know. But I'm grateful that I took the step that I needed to take to see beyond those goggles and those lenses and face the things that I needed to face to be able to do this, because I do have a responsibility, not just for myself, towards myself, but my children as well, and I think that even though, like you said, our kids maybe don't say anything, but they see a lot. Yeah. So I hope this is a new example or a new norm that we can set for them, and when they do decide to choose for themselves, that they know they have more options than what the world is telling them that they might have, And
I, again, want to say, like, I hope this episode doesn't come off as a flex, like we were saying. Like, we didn't make this episode with the intention to be like, sit here for an hour and a half and let us tell you guys how much better we are than you. Like, no, that is not our intention.
We're here to tell you how much better we feel about ourselves.
Things... I myself listen to podcasts because I want to learn stuff and I want to know shit that I don't know about, or hear someone's experience with something that I maybe have experienced or have never experienced before, to kind of compare and contrast. And I hope that's why you listen to our podcast and why you listen to this episode, that maybe you were curious, like, hey, maybe I should try that. Like, and if you are on the fence, of course, I would say do it. Like I said, give yourself a chance. Give yourself just... one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, like, it just, from everyone I've talked to, from everything I've heard, there is no downfall to sobriety. There is no like, everything's good, but there is this one chance that your fucking feet might fall off. Like, no, like, nothing's gonna happen besides like you just get healthier, your liver repairs itself. Like, that's the only things that are gonna come from it. So but yeah, like, we just want to thank you guys for tuning in on this episode. It was really important to us. It's probably one of the longest episodes we've done, but we didn't want to cut it because we're just like, no, let's make sure we hit every point, we hit every bullet point we've thought of. And I'm sure when we revisit this this topic maybe a year from now, or when we hit that year mark, we'll have even more benefits and stuff to talk about and experiences to talk about. So thank you guys. We will be coming back with another episode very soon. Stay tuned for that, and hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Bye.